Greetings, dear viewer. Namaste, namaskaram. I'm just hanging out with my good friend Wesley Huff. Now, in all honesty, dear viewer, I was prepared to launch into a criticism of Mr. Huff because I was under the impression that Wesley was sort of part of this whole Project 2025, combat Jesus, the whole manipulation of the negative alien agenda of the external savior program to create a furor within the American people for the purposes of recruiting combat troops for the physical combat of World War III. And when I actually searched Wesley Huff, and then in my mind, just the term combat Jesus, but apparently that's an actual phrase that Wesley Huff uses or employs, is combat Jesus, but I just thought that that would be a relevant search to get this information that I was determined in my mind was accurate, that he was promoting this very external, which he does promote the external worship of Jesus. But when I looked into his words and stance on this subject, was he actually recognized the dynamic where Jesus has been used as a banner mascot for things going all the way back to the Crusades and so on and so forth. So anyway, he's actually on record for a non-violent interpretation of Christ and the scriptures, which I was surprised to see. Now, that was a very 1 or 2 minute investigation that I had performed. But anyway, I was surprised, so I have to back off just a little bit. So right now I'm just hanging out with my good buddy Wesley Huff, and I want to talk about a very misunderstood phrase, teaching of the great emissary of light, Yeshua, fifth dimensional Jesus. He was known as Jesus in the third dimension, but his higher dimensional aspect was Yeshua when he began to grow into his role as the Christ, the Anointed One. But even higher in the dimensions, he is known as Lord Sananda. That is his seventh dimensional avatar. But anyway, the teaching that I'm referring to is turn the other cheek. And that has been misconstrued in a lot of ways to create this sort of passive, dumbed down, very malleable flock of sheep among people, giving their power away. And I began to understand that you can't live life as in the face of aggression and evil as a passive dove. You have to be as wise as a serpent. And now keep in mind, I'm not advocating for, of course, self-defense is you have to be able to take care of your business in the physical world. But ultimately, if you're as wise as a serpent, it will never come to that point. And in particular, understanding the teaching, turn the other cheek, and really understanding the essence of this teaching is allowing a person to exit the frequency of duality and conflict. Essentially, I've had to employ that the entire 3 years of where I've currently been living in a very economically depressed, drug-ridden, high crime area, to employ high vibration, but maintaining a center within myself of equanimity. And typically when I'm in a high vibration and the demons, they have no purchase. And I've also realized that if I'm in a bad mood and I'm just raring for a fight, I'm ready to go, let's get it on. Then I'll attract that. It's very easy to do in a low vibration area. But when you're in the firmly ensconced within the law of transcendence, in your heart, mind, equanimity, the balance has been established, the coherence, It's magic. You're able to create portals of peace and move about and create your business without any conflict. And if there is any potential for conflict, you are like the Tai Chi Shaolin master. You're able to navigate through this energy with a portal of peace. And so this is what, in essence, Turn the Other Cheek is all about. You exit the frequency of duality and conflict. And it's not a lesson in passivity, but a demonstration of frequency mastery. And that's what this is all about, this third dimension. While we're all here as souls, eternal, immortal, spiritual beings, the Atman, clothed within these tombs of flesh. It can be a tomb, it has been a tomb, a prison, if you will, because of the promulgation of low frequencies in this matrix. But when you rise out of this matrix, exit out of this matrix of duality and conflict, you live with the law of transcendence. You are a frequency master, a Tai Chi master of energy. Because darkness, which is ignorance, the apparatus of ignorance, the matrix of ignorance, operates in reaction, violence, fear. And the light within rises above that, dissolving the engagement itself. And this is the chief message of the book that I am preparing for release in March of 2026, Quantum Theurgy, the Art of Divine Reconfiguration. This principle, the observer, you, I, consciousness, collapses reality by holding awareness in higher vibration. Evil cannot be defeated by reaction, only dissolved through remembrance of identity. And this is key, your recognition, your over-self, your Atman, your eternal, untouched, immortal spiritual essence transcends these lower disturbances when it is in that higher vibration, that higher resonance connected to source. By not meeting darkness on its level, you activate the synergic field of your heart-mind coherence, expanding your consciousness beyond polarity. Now, I used a term, synergic, and if you want to look this up, I'll leave information for this Mexican scientist, Jacobo Grinsberg. I may have mispronounced his name. Anyway, I haven't had all my coffee. But synergic field essentially is heart-mind coherence. When you're in the golden flow of resonance, your consciousness is non-local. It's not localized to your body. You have transcended. You're in the fifth dimension, and you're able to navigate fear, attachment, ego, limitation, the patterns that seek to keep you trapped within the third dimension, that keep you from your spiritual sovereignty. Because turning the other cheek is not submission, it's spiritual sovereignty. Okay? Sovereignty is mastery over reaction, choosing alignment over combat. This is the direct path to inner freedom. No external force can touch the essence of the God force residing within. Pain becomes purpose. Attack becomes activation. Alchemy is transmutation of energy. Lower frequencies, pain, attack, fear, are absorbed and re-radiated as higher consciousness. The Christic current within you acts as the transmuting agent. No resistance, no retaliation, only transformation. And this is the highest victory. This is fifth dimensional consciousness, mastery, spiritual sovereignty. Nothing can separate you from the essence of God within. The inner kingdom, the gates to the inner kingdom are vibration and frequency. True victory is inner unshakability, the realization that all external phenomena are temporary and cannot touch your eternal self, your Atman, as they say in the Vedic sciences, your inner kingdom, as they say in esoteric Christianity. This is the state of the fully realized God-force vehicle, okay, where light and love are unassailable. Now, the great emissary of light, Yeshua, there have been many others, Lao Tzu, the Buddhas, Sadhguru, many gurus who are dispellers of darkness. That is what that word means in the Sanskrit language. But Yeshua's teaching is practical quantum theurgy. The emissaries of light and their teachings are practical quantum theurgy. By turning the other cheek, you exit the battlefield of duality. You activate the Atman, the overself, the monad through conscious identity. Expand your synergic field, your heart-mind coherence field, your unassailable golden Christ glow. Transmute lower energies into spiritual ascent and demonstrate sovereignty beyond reaction. This is the codex of the God force. Turning the other cheek. Yeshua spoke, turn the other cheek. And the initiate understood the stillness in love is the path beyond all battle. This is the law of transcendence. Reaction feeds duality. Okay, dear viewer, stillness aligns with your power, your true power, the vibration of heaven, the fifth dimensional consciousness. And by refusing to meet darkness on its own frequency, one expands the inner light beyond the reach of conflict. Every strike upon the body, our spirit, becomes a mirror of evolution. Pain reveals attachment. Attack unveils the shadow of self. The synergic field, the lattice of consciousness, described by Jacobo Greenberg, becomes coherent when heart and mind harmonize. You're not too caught up in the mind, the illusions of your electrical phenomena of thinking. You have a balance with the heart field of your feeling, your warmth of feeling. You're allowing the alchemical balance to take place. This is the lattice of consciousness. Coherence established by observing rather than reacting. The initiate integrates the experience into the God force field, transmuting external disturbance into inner wisdom. So let me say this again. Turning the other cheek is not submission, but the declaration of spiritual sovereignty. No weapon formed against you can touch what has already ascended. Sovereignty is mastery over reaction. The warm heart provides energy. The cool mind provides discernment. Together, they create the synergic field, a coherent, self-sustaining resonance in which the God force manifests. The Christ within does not resist, does not retaliate, it transmutes. Pain becomes purpose, attack becomes activation. And this is divine alchemy. Lower frequency energies are absorbed and re-radiated as higher consciousness. By holding awareness in the heart-mind equilibrium, one converts the aggression of the world into illumination, awakening latent capacities within the self. The highest victory is not in striking back, but in proving that nothing can separate you from the essence of God. The archons of the demiurge seek to keep people out of balance, imbalance. They seek to pull consciousness into extremes, either purely mental referencing, fear, control, ego illusions, or pure heart mode without discernment. They're blinded by positivity, the love and light crowd, the sheep that are fleeced. But their balance, the fully realized initiate maintains balance, love with clarity, power with compassion, thereby neutralizing all attempts to fragment perception and weakening the influences of the archonic currents. The warrior of light walks among the storms untouched, for the flame, for the God force within, is shielded by remembrance of identity. The God force within, the flame, the burning light of gnosis, is the conscious alignment of the God force, heart and mind in resonance. By keeping the heart warm and the mind cool, the initiate activates the synergic field, allowing the Christic current to flow unimpeded. Every encounter with darkness becomes an initiation, a refinement of sovereignty and illumination. So make sure that you are able to have some sort of practice of pranayama, where you're activating the vagus nerve. You can also do this by, you can also activate your vagus nerve in addition to asymmetric breathing by stimulating this pressure point right here. Okay? You can just get out on the outside of your pinky, follow it all the way down to right about here, and just start pressing right there, massaging, and it will send forth waves of coherence. So, but sit quietly and breathe, sensing warmth in the chest and coolness in the forehead. Visualize a strike or challenge. Do not push back, simply witness it in quantum observer mode. Allow the God force to absorb and transmute the energy. Feel the synergic field expand around you, light emanating from the balance of heart and mind. Conclude by affirming, nothing can separate me from the essence of God within. Nothing can separate you from the essence of God within. When you establish your own spiritual sovereignty, when you have established your frequency, your golden current of ever-flowing effulgence, that is your power in this third-dimensional world. Your power of transcendence by embracing the law of transcendence and by caring about your life. By putting away the Grey Goose vodkas and all the drugs, the gas station heroin and all that stuff that you kids are doing these days. By caring about who you are and rising above this third-dimensional hellscape. By hitting the subscribe button and leaving this video a thumbs up. Namaste. Namaskaram.